fresh meat.
You should say it.
Candyman.
Say his name.
Candyman!
Set in present-day Cabrini Green, which has long been torn down, Anthony McCoy, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, is a struggling artist who lives with his well-off girlfriend Brianna, played by Tiana Paris, who co-runs an art gallery herself. After exploring the remnants of Cabrini for the value of art, Anthony befriends a local, which tells the tale of a corrupt Chicago police department and a ghost figure tied to the trauma of the past and present. Anthony makes the fatal mistake of saying the cursed name, which alters the course of his life and everyone around him. The original 1992 movie has always held a special place in my horror-obsessed heart. Cabrini Green was a force in my news cycle back on Fox 32, and you could see part of the high-rises from my doctor's office in River North as a kid. Now, maybe it's because I had no boundaries when it came to movies at a young age, but Candyman messed me up as an 8-year-old. Yet I fell in love with its dreamlike atmosphere and poetic sadness, wrapped in a real-life location. Add in a brilliant and surprisingly kind performance from Tony Todd as the mythical killer, and you have a true horror classic that transcends time. So how does this spiritual sequel hold up? Yeah, honestly, pretty good. Like always, before we dig into this, mild spoilers are ahead if you are of this sensitive type.
Candyman ain't a he. Candyman's the whole damn hive.
Now that's a line by laundromat owner William Burke, played by Coleman Domingo, which sets up exactly how Candyman 2021 will operate in a world where Daniel Robitaille exists, yet isn't the focus here. Now, to be clear and temper expectations, the Candyman in this movie isn't Robitaille, but Sherman Fields, played by Michael Hargrove, a man falsely accused of giving kids candy hidden with razor blades and murdered by the Chicago PD. You see, the point of Hive is that the legend is one of constant change. A different victim becomes the ghost for a different era, and it's Fields who comes for and disrupts the life of Anthony McCoy. The idea of a constantly changing villain is something I can get behind. Now listen, I prefer Tony Todd take the role of Candyman, of course, but let's be honest, it's been 22 years since he last wore the hook. And if I was a betting man, it seems like the idea of him taking the lead once again is slim to none. So how do you continue in this world without a full-on reboot? The Hive. Unlike Virginia Madsen's Helen Lyle, who was straight up framed, Anthony is more of a suspect, since he isn't directly implemented, but seems to always be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You see, he is changing from the inside. His hand is rotting, and his sanity cracking. Yahya gives a stoic yet delicate approach to the character. I appreciate that he wasn't tough or even confident, but a dorky artist that gets way in over his head while trying to learn the history of Cabrini Green. The original movie dealt with a dark romance, while DaCosta has her movie deal with the cycle of trauma. Having Brianna Cartwright see the man she loves fade away is a nice touch that flips the script on the Xander Berkeley's Trevor Lyle being a creep and a cheat. You see, there's love here, but one of eventual loss. Casting-wise, this impressed the hell out of me. Not only did Yahya knock it out of the park, but the side characters do a surprising amount of heavy lifting, with a few even stealing the show. Grady, played by Kyle Kaminsky, acts as the kind and reasonable partner to Troy Cartwright, played by Nathan Stewart Jarrett. Both a funny and witty team, the comedic moments from them feel natural and earned. Coleman Domingo's William Burke acts as the storyteller, informing Anthony of the entire history of the Candyman and his many incarnations. This man has such a gruff and passionate voice, I kinda wish he acted as the narrator as well. Anne Marie McCoy, played by Vanessa Williams, was the one character that nearly stopped the damn movie with a heartfelt third act cameo. She's the one proper link to the original that isn't just a campfire tale. A career-defining performance with little dialogue, she sells the fear and failure in life perfectly. Bravo, man, bravo. Nia DaCosta brings a sharp and distinct style to Candyman. The original movie had an ethereal vibe with its clear and wide scope, while the 2021 version is a lot moodier, more colorful, with many tight, personal shots. She transitions a few of the early scenes with an upside-down view of the Chicago skyline, fading into a deep fog, and it amazingly sets the tone and feel of what's to come. Now, though the directing is impressive and imaginative, my biggest complaint is the writing and some of its inconsistencies. But it ain't as clever or poignant as it thinks it is. This acts as more of a stylish thriller than a fever dream, and though I don't want a rehash of Bernard Rose's classic, I'm a bit disappointed that this goes for such a straightforward horror approach. Was I entertained? Yeah, for sure, but I missed the sense of impending doom that was deeply embedded in the 1992 movie. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't some nostalgia in my critique, and I can't claim that Rose's movie would creep me out today as much as it did as a kid if I never grew up on it. But the slasher angle just didn't hit home the same way. The ending is where this will divide fans. Candyman 2021 has a strong message that some may argue is too blunt and heavy-handed. This is intended to put the message as the driving theme. But regardless, the last 15 minutes are clunky at best and silly at worst. It may work for many folks, and I can't argue that they're wrong, but for me, I wish there was a way to close out this story without it feeling so damn disjointed and messy. Gore-wise, we get some bloody hookings and the now expected CGI blood splatter. Candyman 2021 doesn't neuter the violence, but it doesn't exploit it either. Nia DaCosta enters the world and quickly makes it her own. Casting was spot on, with Yahya proving once again that he can lead with ease, along with a supporting cast that proved to be just as strong and capable. Candyman 2021 loses points though, with its inconsistent writing, that goes from engaging to awkward throughout the third act. The ending trips over its feet and kind of falls flat on its face. This sets up that the Candyman is ever-changing and the next incarnation can be a different story. So even if this didn't quite nail the ending, it sets up future movies in a cool enough way that I didn't walk out upset. Enough works that I'll say Candyman 2021 was a good movie that had some solid moments. Even if, honestly, it doesn't touch the 1992 classic.
So I was noticing your IMDb that you are actually from Glenview. You're from the northwest suburbs. So I mean to ask you, like, how was it getting not only to act in a classic horror series, but like one with local roots? And how did you get involved in something like the Candyman, being that you're from the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, actually, it's a pretty crazy story. I live in Los Angeles, and I had stopped acting. I had gone through a series of letdowns through auditioning, and I had met Nia at a dinner, just like with a bunch of friends, and I didn't tell her that I was an actor or anything like that. And one of my close friends, like a month later, had told her that I was an actor. And she was like, hey, we can't cast this part for this film. Would love for you to just submit a tape. And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. You know, I guess why not? I didn't really know the backstory of the film or what was going to happen. And so I did. And then I got a call back, and then I flew in for the screen test. And like all of these things happened so fast that acting was then brought back into my life. And it was such a fulfilling experience. And so strange because I hadn't been back to Chicago. My parents moved to LA. It's basically, I never got to live as an adult in the city. And so I got to view it through a new lens, and it was a really beautiful experience and just like a wild journey that brought me back home.
So I want to ask you, did you get to kind of inject your own kind of humor into Grady? I mean, because there's a solid first laugh in your the first in the apartment. And I want to know, like, how was it kind of playing off of Nathan? Because I kind of felt like you two had
Yeah, he is such an incredible actor and such a pleasure to work with. And immediately after our screen test, we just had such great acting chemistry. And throughout the entire filming process, we were laughing so hard. And Grady's very similar to myself. I'm a pretty relaxed and chill, grounded. I like to think that I'm a kind person as well. And so it was great to have this beautiful playfulness between the two of us and this give and take of him being super privileged and like sophisticated and having that biting tongue, and me not being afraid to put him in check. And it just played really well where he respected me telling him to calm down. But I also find that those qualities about Troy's character were really endearing.
Nia. I was a really good visual director. I was very impressed by how this looked, how it moved. So I guess my question to you is how is her directing style? And as an actor, like, how do you work with her in terms of like developing your character? Like, what did you bring? What did she bring? And what ended up on screen?
Nia, I just saw for the first time last night, so I'm still buzzing. I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning. She is such a brilliant director and visionary for our generation. I'm so excited for everybody to see this film. She creates on set the most comfortable atmosphere. We had nights when, you know, we were shooting with the scenes that you'd mentioned before from sundown to sun up. And so it's 3:30 in the morning. We're all exhausted. She comes in, she's like, all right, puts on a song. Everyone starts dancing with each other. We get energized. We go back down and crush the scenes that we had to film. And she works with you, and she takes she wants to know what you think about the scene, and then fuses her own voice and ideas and creates a conversation, which a lot of directors don't do. So yeah, it was the best experience I've ever had on set, and such a warm, inviting environment. And I think that really shows between all of the characters portrayed in the film.
Are you a fan of the horror genre in general? I mean, I know that you said you just got back into acting. Is this something that you'd like to do more of?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually going to be a part of another horror film thriller up in February that's being directed by Julie Pacino, called I Live Here Now. And, you know, I've started auditioning and had all of these great opportunities open up because of this movie. So it's been a really beautiful way for me to come back into acting. You know, so many people have those stories where the actors are ready to leave and they've had enough of the rejection and enough of living in the Hollywood scene. And then when you finally let it go, it releases itself and comes back to you. So yeah, I'm really excited to continue to act and be a part of some cool projects that will be coming.